Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are peeling back the layers of one of nature's most fascinating and familiar creatures, the frog. You see them in your garden, you hear them singing in the ponds, but underneath that slick green skin is a complex biological machine perfectly adapted to survive. We're going to explore their anatomy, their survival mechanisms, and the incredible internal engines that keep these amphibians hopping. Here is our blueprint for today. We're going to cover frog or toad, designed for survival, fueling the amphibian, the three-chambered engine, and finally, the next generation. Let's get right into it. Section 1. Frog or toad. Let's clear up the absolute most common question people ask when they spot a hopping amphibian. So, while all toads are technically frogs, true frogs from the family Rhinatidae and true toads from the family Bufonidae are built for entirely different worlds. True frogs are the moisture-loving acrobats. They have that slimy skin, long webbed feet designed for incredible leaping, and that famous sticky tongue that acts like a whip. True toads, on the flip side, are built for drier, rougher terrain. They've got warty, dry skin, stubby legs meant for walking rather than jumping, and they actually have to walk right up to their prey because they totally lack that long, sticky tongue. Section 2. Designed for survival. Now that we've got the taxonomy down, let's look at how their exterior is essentially a masterclass in staying alive. Think about it. A frog's anatomy is completely specialized for living a double life on land and in water. They don't have external ears like we do. Instead, they have a tympanum. It's basically a membranous drum sitting right on the surface of the skin to catch sound waves. And those characteristic bulging eyes, they actually come with built-in swimming goggles called a nictitating membrane, allowing them to see perfectly while completely submerged. Pretty cool, right? Because frogs are cold-blooded, or poikilotherms, they are entirely at the mercy of their environment's temperature. When it gets crazy hot, they literally dig deep into the mud for a summer sleep called estivation, and they do the exact same thing to survive freezing winters. Good old hibernation. Oh, and here's a wild fact for you. Frogs never drink water, like ever. They absorb all the hydration they need directly through their incredibly permeable skin. Plus, their exterior actually helps us tell them apart. Males feature vocal sacs to project those loud mating calls and special copulatory pads on their front digits to help grip females. Section 3. Fueling the amphibian. Time to look under the hood and see how this creature actually powers all that incredible jumping and swimming. Okay, before we even touch digestion, there is an incredible mechanism we have to talk about: cutaneous respiration. While a frog does use lungs on land, the second it dives underwater, it breathes entirely through its skin. Dissolved oxygen in the water just diffuses straight through that moist outer layer and right into their bloodstream. Talk about a neat survival trick. Looking at their internal fuel processing plant, one thing really stands out. The intestinal tract is surprisingly short. Since frogs are strict carnivores, mostly living on a high-protein diet of insects, they just don't need the massive, winding intestines that herbivores use to break down tough plant matter. Their whole system is compact, highly acidic, and built for pure speed. Let's track a meal, shall we? Picture a fly buzzing by. Wham! That bilobed, sticky tongue rockets out to capture it. The bug goes down a short esophagus into the stomach, where intense hydrochloric acid and gastric juices just obliterate it into a mush called chyme. Then it hits the duodenum, the first part of the small intestine. Here, bile from the gallbladder breaks down fats, and pancreatic juices handle the proteins. Nutrients get soaked up super fast by these tiny finger-like villi in the intestine. Finally, any leftover waste exits through the cloaca, which is basically a single multi-purpose exit chamber at the end of the line. Very efficient. Moving on to Section 4, the three-chambered engine. Let's zoom right into the very core of the frog, its cardiovascular system. 3. That is the magic number of chambers in a frog's heart. Now, that's completely different from the 4 separated chambers we humans have pumping away inside our chests. Let's see exactly how this setup works. So it has 2 upper chambers, the right and left atria or auricles, and those receive the incoming blood. But down below, there's only a single thick-walled, heavily muscled ventricle. That one single ventricle does all the heavy lifting, pumping all the blood back out into the body through a large tubular structure at the top, known as the conus arteriosus. The way this system handles oxygen is just mind-blowing. There's this special triangular chamber on the back of the heart called the sinus venosus. It collects all the depleted, deoxygenated blood from the body and dumps it into the right auricle. At the exact same time, the left auricle is receiving pure, freshly oxygenated blood from the lungs. Because both of those upper chambers empty into that one single ventricle, the heart actually pumps a mixed blend of pure and impure blood back out to the rest of the body. Oh, and get this. Unlike human red blood cells, which ditch their nucleus to carry more oxygen, a frog's red blood cells actually keep their nucleus. Totally wild. Section 5. The next generation. For our final section, let's explore how these amphibians actually ensure the survival of their species. When we compare the male and female reproductive anatomies, we find some really unique plumbing. In males, the yellowish, oval-shaped testes are literally glued right to the upper part of their kidneys by a membrane called the mesoarchium. The sperm travels straight through the kidneys into a specialized channel, Ditter's canal, before heading out. In females, though, the massive ovaries operate totally independent of the kidneys. The eggs travel down these incredibly long, coiled oviducts on either side of her body. Ultimately, the whole reproduction process is completely tied to the water. A single mature female, she can lay up to 3,000 eggs at once. During mating, they do this thing called amplexus. It's a form of pseudocopulation where the male uses those special copulatory pads we mentioned earlier to grip her back. As she releases thousands of jelly-coated eggs into the water, he simultaneously releases sperm over them. So the magic happens entirely externally, right there in the open water. And that sets the stage for the tadpoles to hatch and start that famous metamorphosis into the adults we've been talking about. Taking a step back, these biological marvels are absolutely crucial for our world. Because they have such voracious appetites, they act as nature's ultimate pest control for our agriculture. They sit dead center in the food web, playing the role of both predator and prey, which keeps the delicate ecological balance in check across huge environments. But here is the catch. Because they literally breathe and drink through that highly permeable skin, they are incredibly sensitive to pollution and chemical runoff. They are basically nature's early warning system. So I want to leave you with this thought. If these incredible survivors, creatures with millions of years of evolutionary fine-tuning, can no longer survive in our waters, what does that mean for the rest of us? Thank you so much for joining me on this experience.